Have you ever woken up feeling as heavy as lead, stuck to the covers by an inexplicable force? It's not ordinary tiredness, nor passing laziness. It's something deeper, a silence that stifles any desire to get up, to face the day, to fulfill what the world expects of you. Carl Jung would look at this moment and not see weakness. He would see an oracle. For him, this immobility is not defeat, but the first whisper of the soul saying, "Stop. Something within you needs to be born." And what if this feeling you call lack of will is, in fact, the oldest voice of your psyche, refusing to sustain a life that no longer belongs to you? Imagine Jung by your side, with that penetrating gaze that dismantled illusions. He wouldn't tell you to force yourself to get up, drink strong coffee, or repeat productivity mantras. He would whisper, "Listen to what is saying through this stillness." Because for Jung, what the world labels as laziness is often a sacred rebellion of the unconscious. It is the psyche gathering its energy from empty tasks, from routines that do not nourish the center of its existence. Have you ever blamed yourself for not being productive enough? Have you ever felt guilty for an unproductive day, while everyone around you runs like machines? Jung knew that this guilt is a cultural trap. Modern society loves constant movement, condemns rest as failure, and transforms silence into an enemy. But he saw beyond that. Sometimes the soul needs to stop, not out of weakness, but to reorganize itself. Think of your body as an ancient temple, whose columns begin to creak under the weight of years poorly lived. This fatigue that anchors you to bed is not punishment. It's a calling. Jung called it psychic incubation, a period in which the unconscious works in the shadows, digesting experiences, integrating fragments of your history, preparing a transformation that the conscious mind does not yet understand. While you lie there, thinking nothing is happening, something deep stirs. Roots extend into the darkness like a forest in winter. Above ground, everything seems dead. Below, life pulsates, expands, renews. Your body feels this before your mind. It refuses to obey demands that betray its true essence. And what if this refusal is the bravest act of honesty you have ever had? Jung observed patients who came to him exhausted, convinced that they were weak or undisciplined, but by listening to their dreams, their pauses, their silences, he discovered hidden patterns. A life misaligned with the inner calling drains vitality like a dry river. Obligations that once excited become torrents. Relationships that seemed solid reveal emptiness. The unconscious, wise and merciless, withdraws the fuel, not to punish but to protect. Have you ever noticed how certain tasks drain you while others energize you effortlessly? That's the psyche signaling. There is no truth here for me. Ignoring this is like forcing a plant to grow against the light. It withers. But honoring the pause, it's planting seeds for inevitable flowering. There is a subtle tension in this moment. Why does the body move forward while the soul slows down? Jung answered with alchemical images. Gold does not emerge from iron without fire and patience. Its immobility is the slow fire, the crucible where the old dissolves. Do not fight against it. Ask, what does this stillness want to show me? Perhaps it is an unwept grief, an old identity crumbling, a creativity stifled by gray routines. Or perhaps it is simply the weariness of absorbing the chaos of the world without filters. Jung saw the human being as a finite vessel. Fill it too much and it overflows in collapse. The soul asks for rest to purify itself, to reintegrate what was lost. What if I told you that this laziness that torments you isn't the end of your energy, but the cocoon before rebirth? Jung promised that, on the other side of this pause, something new emerges, a version of you aligned with what truly matters. Not a force manufactured by discipline, but a vitality that springs from within, spontaneous and unwavering. The question now is, will you continue to judge yourself for listening to the voice of your soul? Or will you allow yourself to immerse yourself in this transformative silence? Because what seems like paralysis today may be the fertile ground of tomorrow. And Jung, with his eternal wisdom, invites you, descend into the darkness. It is there that true light begins to form. Have you ever felt that inexplicable weight that transforms the simple act of getting out of bed into an epic battle against yourself? It's not just physical exhaustion. It's something older, deeper, a silence that speaks louder than any alarm. Carl Jung looked at this moment and didn't see laziness. He saw wisdom. For him, this immobility is the soul gathering its strength from a life that no longer serves its true purpose. The world may call you weak, lazy, undisciplined, but Jung would whisper, "Listen, your psyche is reorganizing itself." Imagine that Monday when you spend hours staring at the ceiling while your to-do list grows like an avalanche. Your phone flashes with work messages. Friends ask for favors. The gym awaits you, but nothing moves. You criticize yourself, judge yourself, try productivity lists. Nothing works. Jung would say it's not a lack of willpower. It's an excess of inner honesty. Your soul has detected that the map you're following is outdated. The obligations that once gave meaning now drain the color. It's like wearing a suit that's too small. It's too tight, suffocating, and doesn't let you breathe. He called this psychic incubation, an invisible process where the unconscious works while you rest. Imagine your brain as a vast archipelago of disconnected islands, fragmented experiences, emotions, memories. In the rush of daily life, these islands become isolated. But in the silence of the bed, bridges begin to form. The unconscious weaves connections that the waking mind could never reach. That's why, after unproductive days, a crystal-clear clarity suddenly emerges about your life. Jung observed this in his patients. What seemed like paralysis was, in fact, silent alchemy. Remember that time you canceled social plans because you weren't in the mood? Your friends might have called it fussiness, but your body knew. It sensed the misalignment between who you are and what you were about to do. Jung explained that the body is the first to realize when we live against our essence. It rebels before the mind can rationalize. That's why tasks that once flowed smoothly now stall, why social commitments weigh like lead, why even old hobbies have lost their appeal. It's not depression, it's psychic discrimination. Your soul is saying, "I'm no longer going to finance what doesn't represent me." Consider Anna, a typical executive Jung could have treated. At 38, she had it all: a high-level position, a stable family, a packed schedule of cultural events. But a point came when she could no longer get out of bed on Mondays. Important meetings, heavy body, children demanding attention, automatic responses. She took medication, tried coaching, attempted the keto diet. Nothing worked. Until, in an analysis session, Jung asked, "What would you do if no one expected anything from you?" Anna cried for 20 minutes and said, "I would paint. I always wanted to, but I never had the time." The following week, she bought paints. 6 months later, she dropped half her commitments and opened a small gallery. Laziness wasn't a disease. It was a compass. This is the turning point Jung proposes. What if your lack of energy isn't the problem, but the solution? Your body isn't betraying you. It's guiding you. When it stops, it's because the old path leads to a precipice. The culture of productivity has taught you to fear this silence, but Jung invites you to inhabit it. It's in the apparent emptiness that something new takes shape. Have you ever noticed how, after days without forcing yourself, a brilliant idea emerges from nowhere? How solutions to old problems appear in dreams or showers? This isn't magic. It's your unconscious working while you rest. But there's a mystery here. Why does the body know before the mind? Jung answered with images from nature. The tree that stops growing in winter isn't dead, it's preparing. The hibernating bear isn't lazy, it's preserving vital energy. Your organism works the same way. It detects falsehoods, jobs that kill the soul, relationships that drain more than they nourish, routines that betray your deepest values. Immobility becomes a silent protest. Don't ask me to sustain this lie any longer. It's a brutal honesty, but a necessary one. Think about the times you forced yourself to produce even when exhausted. The result? Half-baked work, irritation with loved ones, the feeling of living someone else's life. Jung saw this as violence against the self, the organizing center of the psyche. When you ignore the body's signals, you force an energy that isn't yours. It depletes quickly and returns weaker. But when you honor the pause, you allow a deeper strength to accumulate. It's a qualitatively different energy, not the adrenaline of obligation, but the vitality of authenticity. And here comes the razor-sharp question. How many times have you confused necessary rest with moral failure? How many mornings have you wasted cursing yourself for not being productive, when your soul was craving precisely that silence? Jung said that the greatest mistake of modern man is treating the psyche like a machine, ignoring its natural cycles. Forest, tide, seasons. Everything in nature teaches that pause precedes power. Your body hasn't forgotten this wisdom. It's reminding you now. The next step is simple, yet revolutionary. The next time you wake up still under the covers, don't fight it. Ask, what do you want to show me? Let the silence answer. It might be uncomfortable, even painful, but on the other side of that stillness, clarity awaits. Jung promised that those who learn to listen to this silence no longer need to force anything. Life begins to flow in the right direction, spontaneously, powerfully. Your morning laziness is not the enemy. It's the first teacher of your transformation. And if you keep listening, it will take you much further than any to-do list ever has. Carl Jung didn't dwell on the surface of fatigue. He delved deep, dismantling what he called the sacred faces of stillness. For him, each type of morning immobility carried a specific code of the soul, a hieroglyph disguised as laziness. There are 5 distinct ways in which the unconscious speaks when words fail. The first is the laziness of misalignment. Have you ever noticed that certain tasks, which once flowed smoothly, now stall? Endless meetings, soulless reports, empty social engagements, everything loses its color. Jung explained that this happens when external life ceases to reflect inner truth. The psyche, sovereign and demanding, withdraws energy from what is false. It declares a strike. I will no longer sustain what does not represent me. The second facet is the laziness of invisible grief. I'm not just talking about physical deaths. Jung saw silent losses. The end of a relationship you still visit in your dreams. The professional identity that died unceremoniously. The friend who drifted away without explanation. These unmourned absences consume psychic energy like parasites. The soul stops and demands, honor what is gone. It's a private wake that takes place in bed, where the body mourns what the mind still denies. Have you ever woken up missing something you can't even name? That's the sign. The third arises from emotional overload. Jung observed people who functioned like psychic sponges, absorbing family sadness, the chaos of social media, and work tensions. The world dumps its weight on them and they carry it all. Immobility becomes a purifying bath. The body closes like an oyster, refusing further entry. Neuroscience confirms this. It's the nervous system resetting itself, lowering cortisol, restoring chemical balance. But Jung went further. It's an ancestral ritual of energetic cleansing, where the soul isolates itself to remember itself. Have you ever stopped to think, which of these first 3 faces visits you most often? Or do they blend together, forming a chorus of voices that you've learned to silence with strong coffee and self-deception? The fourth facet is the most mysterious, the laziness of the liminal transition. Jung compared it to the space between the death of the old and the birth of the new. You are no longer who you were, but you have not yet become who you will be. Like the liquefied caterpillar in its cocoon, vulnerable and formless, you need this dark retreat. Mythological heroes always disappear before returning transformed. Orpheus in the underworld, Buddha under the tree, Jesus in the desert. Your bed is this personal desert. Paralysis is not imprisonment, it is preparation. Something within you is being dismantled, atom by atom, for a greater recomposition. Finally, the fifth facet, the laziness of stifled creativity. Jung believed that creative libido, when repressed by overly pragmatic routines, turns into apathy. You feel the urge to write, paint, undertake new ventures, but serious life stifles you. Creative energy doesn't disappear. It rebels, transforming into dead weight. It's the soul screaming, "My flame will not be wasted on mediocrity." Think of the artists who stopped everything before their greatest works. Van Gogh in the wheat fields, Kafka writing at night after work. The laziness was the unconscious cooking up genius. What if I revealed that these 5 faces are not enemies but allies in disguise? Jung saw the body as the final messenger of the unconscious. Each morning wait carries the same primordial question. What part of me is asking to be born? Its immobility is not punishment. It is sacred ground where something new germinates. What makes this message urgent is its camouflaged universality. Everyone knows the guilt of going to bed at 10 a.m. Everyone has wondered if it's a flaw or destiny. Jung dismantles the drama with an almost violent truth. Your body never lies. It detects first when you are living against your essence. When it stops, it's not a technical failure. It's instinctive wisdom. The hustle culture has taught you to demonize this messenger. Jung invites you to promote it to profit. Consider the story of Thomas, a 42-year-old engineer whom Jung could have analyzed. He had been waking up paralyzed for months. He tried medication, cognitive behavioral therapy, even mild electric shock. Nothing worked. Until in one session, Jung asked, "Describe exactly how you feel in bed." Thomas said, "Like I'm sinking in quicksand." Jung smiled. "What if that sand is the cocoon where your next life is being woven?" Thomas left engineering and became a carpenter. At 47, he builds handcrafted boats and says he has never felt so alive. The laziness was his unconscious pushing him toward his true calling. Here's where the element of suspense that Jung loved comes in. While you lie there thinking you're still, your unconscious never stops. It dreams about you, writes myths through sensations, reshapes your internal architecture like volcanic lava forming new earth. It needs darkness, pressure, and time, exactly what the bed offers. The modern mind resists, wanting progress charts, productivity metrics. But Jung reminded us, the psyche is not a factory, it's an ecosystem. And ecosystems flourish in cycles, sprouting, dormancy, rebirth. The real turning point comes when you realize that fighting this silence is fighting yourself. Jung proposed an active surrender. Instead of forcing yourself to get up, consciously dive in. Take a notebook. Write down whatever comes to mind without filter. Fragments, absurd images, fears you didn't even know you carried. It's active imagination, a dialogue with the invisible forces that weave your destiny. In the initial scribbles of chaos, patterns emerge. A recurring image of fire, a phrase that won't leave your head, a feeling that repeats itself. This is the compass of the psyche, pointing towards the meaning you seek. Do you feel the weight right now? Then know this, it's not an accident, it's initiation. Your soul isn't abandoning you, it's recalibrating you. What your ego experiences as loss or confusion is the unconscious preparing a new alignment. It's the sacred pause between exhaling and inhaling, where all transformation begins. The art isn't resisting, the art is listening. And when you learn this silent language of the body, a door opens to the greater mystery. What truths does your soul hold in the silence you so fear? Your body never lies. When it anchors you to the bed with that inexplicable weight, it's not betraying you, it's translating. Carl Jung saw the physical organism as the final herald of the unconscious, the messenger that speaks when all other voices fall silent. Every sensation of immobility carries an ancient and urgent question. What part of me is asking to be born? This stillness you call laziness is sacred ground. Beneath the apparent surface of inertia, something germinates. A new meaning, a mended identity, a truth that cries out for light. Jung didn't offer ready-made formulas. He proposed dialogue. Instead of fighting against silence, he invited us to inhabit it intentionally. Don't ask what's wrong with you, he said. Ask what is trying to speak through you. His practice of active imagination was simple, almost rudimentary. Paper, pen, total presence. Lying down or sitting, you let the words flow without censorship. You don't edit, you don't judge, you don't organize. Disconnected fragments, absurd images, fears you didn't even know how to name, everything finds space. It's like opening a rusty tap. At first mud comes out, then clear water. What initially seems like chaos reveals patterns. A recurring image of fire that doesn't burn, a river that always flows into the same sea, a phrase that won't leave your head. I was never heard. Jung explained that these repetitions are not accidents. They are the language of archetypes, the primordial patterns of the human psyche. Each symbol is an emissary of the self, its organizing center, pointing to what needs to be integrated. You begin to realize that the morning stillness wasn't a problem, but a portal. It forced you to stop so that these voices could gain volume. Consider Clara, a real patient of Jung's in the 1920s. At 34, she had been waking up paralyzed for months. Doctors diagnosed hysteria, depression, even nervous weakness. Jung simply asked, "Write whatever comes to mind, without thinking." In the first few days, there were scribbles about a collapsing tower. Then, a child crying inside it. Gradually, Clara connected. The tower was her identity as a perfect woman, wife, mother, exemplary daughter. The child was her passion for sculpture, abandoned at 18 due to family pressure. 9 months later, she exhibited her first works in Zurich. The laziness had been the unconscious digging a tunnel to her buried gift. This technique revealed curious facts that shocked even Jung. In his studies with schizophrenic patients, he noted that their delusions when followed without judgment, often led to profound insights into family conflicts never verbalized. One man saw demons with newspaper wings, revealing he was terrified by headlines about his alcoholic journalist father. A woman dreamed of spiders weaving black gold, discovering her husband's financial abuse. The unconscious doesn't lie, it dramatizes. And in bed, away from distractions, it takes center stage. The most surprising turn of events came from Jung's own experiments. During his personal crisis of 1913-1919, he practiced daily active imagination. The result? The Red Book, 400 pages of dialogue with internal figures he called psychic autonomies. Salome, the spirit of the depths, anima, entities that guided him through the collapse. Jung later admitted, "I didn't invent these figures. They presented themselves." If even the creator of analytical psychology needed this method, imagine what it can reveal in you. But there's a fascinating paradox here. Jung proposed 3 sacred questions for these moments of stillness, questions that cut like a scalpel. First, what am I protecting myself from? Second, what in my life no longer serves my growth? Third, what version of myself longs to be born? The answers rarely come logically. They arrive as sensations. Warmth in the chest, a sudden image of a mountain or ocean, a whisper that resonates more truthfully than any reasoning. It is the language of the emerging self, the archetype of wholeness, guiding you back to center. An unlikely 2017 study at the University of Zurich empirically confirmed this. Researchers asked 127 people experiencing burnout to practice 15 minutes of daily free writing for 3 weeks. The result? 73% reported a significant reduction in symptoms, 62% discovered life patterns they wanted to change, and 41% started new creative projects. Jung's method, tested a century later, still works. Not by magic, but because it gives voice to what has been silenced. The immersion deepens when you realize that this dialogue is not an isolated event. It's continuous practice. Jung recommended 15-20 minutes daily, always at the same time, creating a reliable channel to the unconscious. Over time, you notice synchronicities, books that appear, casual conversations that echo your insights, prophetic dreams. Life begins to conspire in your favor, as if the universe were responding to your inner listening. This is what Jung called the synchronic psychic field, when aligning yourself internally reorganizes the external world. And then comes the revelation that changes everything. Your bed is not a prison, it's a sanctuary. The immobility you fought against was the most sacred invitation from your psyche. While the world screams productivity, your unconscious whispers authenticity. Jung saw this as a revolutionary act, refusing the tyranny of ought to be, to embrace being. Each heavy morning is a chance to descend into your personal underworld, dialogue with your shadows, and emerge with more truth. Consider the giants of history who honored this pause. Newton didn't work hard for gravity. He rested under an apple tree. Buddha didn't meditate for discipline. He surrendered to the Bodhi tree. Einstein said his best ideas came floating gently in my boat. Genius isn't constant striving, but space for the unconscious to cook. Your morning laziness participates in the same mystery. Tension grows when you ask yourself, what if ignoring this call costs too much? Jung warned that the ignored unconscious doesn't give up. It amplifies. Quietude turns into depression, apathy into collapse, physical symptoms appear. But who listens? It transforms paralysis into prophecy. The next step is clear, but it requires courage. The next time you wake up feeling heavy, don't rush out of bed. Grab your notebook. Let it speak. The first words may frighten you, but the following ones liberate you. And at the end of the tunnel of scribbles, you will find not only relief, but your next destiny waiting to be discovered. What is your soul whispering that you don't yet have the courage to hear? Here's part 5, picking up the pace with rising tension and twists that set the stage for the grand finale. Jung now presents the paradox that dismantles everything. Sometimes the most powerful action is to do nothing. It seems crazy, but he saw not acting as a sacred rebellion against an automatic life. You spend years forcing productivity, chasing goals, proving your worth, and suddenly stopping becomes revolutionary. This frightening emptiness is not apathy, it's alchemy. Jung compared it to the medieval process where gold only emerges after matter rests in the darkness of the crucible. Your soul follows the same law. It needs to traverse the nigredo, the dark phase where the old self dissolves completely. Tension explodes here. You try to return to your routine and feel physical resistance, a racing heart, anxiety, even nausea. The body screams, "Don't go back to that cage." It's the unconscious blocking the old path. Jung warned, fighting against this stillness is fighting against yourself. Guilt surges like a tsunami. I'm being lazy, useless, a failure. But then comes the first twist. This guilt isn't yours. It's internalized cultural conditioning, the voice of society that confuses stopping with perishing. Think fast. Have you ever seen someone completely collapse after pushing themselves too hard? Jung did. He treated executives who, after years of ignoring bodily signals, woke up in hospitals with heart attacks at age 45. One of them confessed, "I felt the weight for years, but I thought it was weakness." The soul doesn't give you two warnings. When you honor the pause, you avoid total collapse. When you resist, you push the system to the breaking point. The choice is yours, but the biological clock doesn't negotiate. The pace quickens when Jung reveals what happens in silence. While you rest feeling guilty, your brain works furiously. Neuroscience confirms what he intuited a century ago. During rest, the default mode network integrates memories, emotions, and insights. It's literally your brain weaving meaning while you lie down. Studies show that 20 minutes of daily stillness improves decision-making by 35%. But Jung went further. It's where the self, your deepest center, reorganizes the entire psyche. Then comes the second, more subtle and powerful twist. You wake up one day and something has changed. The world is the same, but your eyes are new. More vivid colors, spontaneous curiosity, energy that arises effortlessly. Dreams return intensely. Solutions to old problems appear in the shower. It wasn't discipline that saved you. It was surrender. Jung called this the return of libido, vital energy flowing again into authentic channels. You no longer force it. Life begins to flow. Tension reaches its peak when the old programming tries to fight back. Friends ask, "Where's that productive person?" Family demands results. Work requires presence. Here's the ultimate test. Do you revert to the old pattern or uphold the new truth? Jung said this is the decisive moment of individuation, choosing the self against all external expectations. Every no you say now builds your new character. Every boundary reinforces your inner sovereignty. Think of Elon Musk, who has admitted to spending entire days in bed thinking before crucial decisions. Or J.K. Rowling, depressed and unproductive when she wrote Harry Potter on coffee napkins. Or Steve Jobs, who traveled for months without a routine before Apple's innovations. Genius isn't born from frenzy, it's born from fertile emptiness. Your morning laziness participates in the same sacred process. The rhythm is now electric. You realize that silence is not the absence of action, but superior action. It is where Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree, where Newton rested under the apple tree, where Jung built his tower on the lake to dialogue with the unconscious. Each master understood, greatness demands retreat. Your bed is not defeat, it is a training ground for authenticity. But the real turning point explodes like fireworks. When you honor your inner cycles against cultural pressure, the universe responds. Synchronicities arise. Books fall into your hands. The right people appear. Doors open without forcing. Jung called this synchronicity. Inner alignment reorganizes the outer. Suddenly life conspires in your favor. What seemed like a curse becomes a blessing. Tension dissolves into growing certainty. You don't need to produce to prove your worth. Your existence is enough. The hustle culture is true madness, running aimlessly, accumulating without meaning. Jung whispers, the wise know when to stop, because in silence they hear the self speak above the noise. Pausing in a world that idolizes movement is revolutionary courage. You feel the moment approaching. The energy returns differently, not the compulsive adrenaline, but a serene vitality, like a spring after rain. Prophetic dreams return. Unerring intuitions guide choices. The world seems more alive, symbolic, responsive. It is the unconscious announcing, incubation complete. Now move forward, but follow my timing. Your soul blossoms in its own seasons. The narrative climax explodes. Stopping wasn't a loss. It was a brilliant strategy of the psyche. You avoided years of forced suffering, avoidable crises, predictable regrets. Each difficult morning was a private tutor, teaching you that authenticity trumps performance. Jung smiles. You learned the lesson that 90% ignore until collapse. Expectations are at their peak now. You're on the threshold. The next step doesn't need to be forced. It will emerge naturally, like dawn after a long night. But a final revelation is missing. Jung's masterstroke that transforms morning laziness from weakness into spiritual superpower. Are you ready to discover that your greatest weakness was, in fact, your greatest evolutionary ally? The final answer is seconds away. You are on the threshold. Jung's final revelation is not distant theory. It's a practical map to transform each arduous morning into a springboard for an authentic life. Imagine waking up tomorrow with different eyes. The same room, but the world seems alive, symbolic, full of possibilities. Dreams return intensely. Spontaneous curiosity awakens. Energy surges effortlessly. It wasn't discipline that saved you. It was conscious surrender to the wisdom of your body. This is proof that psychic incubation is over. Your soul announces, the inner work is done. Now move forward, but in my time. What changed wasn't the outside world, but your relationship with it. Before, you lived like a machine pressured by other people's schedules. Now, you understand the cycles of the psyche as natural seasons. Intense flowering, fertile retreat, powerful rebirth. Jung said that the greatest wisdom is recognizing when to stop, because only in silence does the self, your true center, speak above the cultural noise. Pausing in a world that idolizes constant movement is not weakness. It is a revolutionary act of personal sovereignty. Here's a practical, simple, and powerful way to apply this every day. First, change your morning question. When you wake up with that familiar heaviness, don't ask, "Why am I lazy?" Ask, "Thank you, body. What do you want to show me today?" This 180-degree reversal transforms guilt into instant gratitude. Second, create a 15-minute ritual. Grab a notebook and pen. Write down whatever comes to mind without filtering. Loose words, absurd images, nameless fears. Don't judge, don't edit. Jung proved that sacred patterns emerge from these chaotic scribbles. The recurring image, the obsessive phrase, the feeling that won't leave your head. They are arrows from the unconscious pointing to your next step. Third, learn Jung's 3 sacred questions to decode the silence. 1. What am I protecting myself from? 2. What in my life no longer serves my growth? 3. What version of myself wants to be born? The answers don't come logically. They arrive as bodily sensations. Warmth in the chest, coldness in the nape of the neck, sudden images, mountain, ocean, fire, intuitions that resonate with truth. Write everything down. The following week, patterns become clear. You realize you avoid certain types of conversations, that a job drains your energy, that an old dream demands space. Fourth, practice active surrender. When guilt strikes, I'm wasting time. Take a deep breath and say aloud, I honor my inner cycle. It sounds silly, but it reprograms the brain. Studies show that body affirmations reduce cortisol by 25% in minutes. Jung would be more poetic. You are training the ego to obey the self. Fifth, observe synchronicities. After a week of practice, notice strange coincidences. A book falls into your hand with the exact answer. Someone casually mentions what you discovered in the notebook. Doors open without forcing. Jung called this the synchronistic field, the universe reorganizing itself to your inner alignment. Sixth, test little by little. When natural, unforced energy arises, take a symbolic action in the direction of what the notebook revealed. Maybe send that message you've been putting off for months. Maybe research a course you've always wanted to take. Maybe say no to a draining obligation. Each small step builds faith in the process. The big turning point? You stop forcing life and it starts flowing to you. Think about the impact this has on your daily life. Imagine saying no to an exhausting happy hour and discovering a solitary walk that generates 3 brilliant ideas. Imagine canceling pointless meetings and using that time to write the first chapter of the book that lives in your head. Imagine ending toxic relationships and making room for connections that truly nourish you. It's not laziness, it's radical discernment. Your energy no longer evaporates into emptiness. It focuses where it matters. The ultimate test comes in moments of crisis. Family asks, why are you so stagnant? Friends tease, where's that productive person? Work pressures you to deliver results. This is where you shine. Smile and say, I'm aligning my life with what truly matters. They might find it strange, but you know the truth. You're evolving while they're running in circles. Jung said that individuation requires losing some loves to save the soul. Every external discomfort confirms you're on the right path. Now the emotional truth that changes everything. Every tough morning you faced wasn't punishment. It was a private tutor. Every guilt you felt was a lesson in authenticity. Every "why am I like this?" was a cry from yourself asking to be heard. You survived all of that and you're still here, feeling, searching, growing. That resilience is already a victory. Jung whispers, understanding redeems. By naming your laziness as sacred wisdom, you honor 2 decades or more of silent struggle. The invitation is direct and urgent. Start today. Don't wait for Monday, don't wait for motivation. Grab a pen and paper now. Write a line. Thank you, body, for protecting me. Tomorrow, when the weight returns, you'll know. It's not an enemy, it's an ally. Your soul doesn't want laziness, it wants authenticity. It wants silence deep enough for the truth to emerge. It wants the courage to live for what's real, not for what's expected. Sometimes hearing this truth requires silencing all external voices, including your own self-criticism. So rest. Listen, a new you is forming in the stillness. And when the time comes, you won't need to force the next step. It will emerge naturally, like the sunrise breaking through the forest of your soul. If this journey resonated with you, if something stirred inside you, don't let it die here. Like this video so it reaches those who need to hear it. Comment, even anonymously, an emoji is enough. An "I understand" changes everything. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. It's not just content, it's a community of those who chose to listen to their soul above the noise. Because when you transform, the world breathes differently. Your sacred pause has already begun.